I'm working on a book right now about Tractate Sota, which was what Genevieve and I studied together. So there's this wonderful little story in it, which can so easily be overlooked. It is a story about humility on the surface and a story about how do we know that Rabbi Abahu is really humble. I'm just going to fill in a piece of data here. There was a custom in the ancient academy, because they didn't have microphones, that a sage would have a speaker, and that speaker would repeat the sage's words so that people could actually hear him. So here's the story. The Talmud asks, and what was the humility of Rabbi Abahu? And then it brings this story, that the wife of Rabbi Abahu's speaker said to the wife of Rabbi Abahu, "This one of ours does not need yours, and that he bends down and stands up before him is merely to do him honor." His wife went and told Rabbi Abahu. He said to her, "What do you derive from her? Through me and through him, the Most High will be praised." So to summarize this, what's happening in the story? The Talmud asks about, well, how do we know that Rabbi Abahu was so humble? What's the example of his humility? And it goes on to tell the story about how the wife of Rabbi Abahu's speaker, the one who projected his words to the public, said to the wife of Rabbi Abahu, "My husband actually doesn't need your husband at all. When he bends down to actually hear his words and then stands up to say it to the people, he's just kind of acting. What he's really doing, the speaker, is giving his own reasons. He's not actually transmitting the sage's words. He's talking for himself." So then Rabbi Abahu's wife goes and tells her husband about this conversation. "Hey, this is what's happening. The speaker's not actually giving your words." And then Rabbi Abahu says, basically, so what? It doesn't matter whether the speaker is saying my words or not. God's going to be praised in any case. So if you're looking at this story from the old way, where you're concerned about how do we know what it means to be humble, you're going to focus on these two sages, these two male sages, and you're going to notice, oh, one of them's really humble. The speaker isn't doing what he's supposed to. But if you shift your lens, you'll notice, wait a minute, there are two women here, and they're speaking to each other about their husbands. And these two women you might call it gossip, but they're actually really concerned with, how is Torah transmitted? Who has authority? And they're speaking to each other. So these women are in relationship with one another. And they're hearing what's happening in the Beit Midrash or wherever this Torah is being taught. And one of them is actually also confident enough to go to her husband and say, "Hey, your position is being undercut." So all of a sudden, what is seemingly about male humility actually becomes a story about these two women who know each other and are in conversation with each other and are concerned with the transmission of Torah and the hierarchies of rabbinic society. So is it a story that's bound to patriarchy? Yes, because these women are actually competing over their husband's authority. But nevertheless, it is a story in which these women are in relationship with each other and imagine themselves as having a stake in the transmission and the reception of Torah. So I find it to be one very, very powerful example of what happens when you try and shift your lenses.